Task duration is eternally connected to the work and units of a resource assignment. The mathematical relationship is easy to manage when you first assign resources, but editing resource assignments and getting the right results can be a challenge. Understanding how duration, work, and units work together is the key to getting your resource assignments right every time. To understand the relationship between duration, work, and units, all you need is some basic algebra. Duration is equal to work divided by units. Units are the percentage or decimal amount that the assigned resource works on the task. Full-time is 100%, or decimal 1. Half-time is 50%, or 0.5. If you estimate work at 40 hours and specify that the resource works on the task 50% of the time, Project calculates the duration to be 10 days. That's the equivalent of 80 hours. On the other hand, if you estimate duration to be 5 days and the resource works 40% on the task, the work is 2 days, or 16 hours. Similarly, Project calculates units if you give it the duration and the work. If you set the work at 40 hours and the duration at 160 hours, that's 28-hour days, the percentage of time the resource works on the task is 25%, shown here as 0.25. Project has built-in rules about which values it changes. Unless you give Project specific instructions, the program tries to change duration first, then work, and finally, as a last resort, units. For example, if you give Project work and units, it will calculate duration. Similarly, if you give it duration and units, it calculates work. And if you give it duration and work, it will calculate units. You can also see that if you leave the unit cell blank, Project uses 100% or the resource's maximum units. You can bypass Project's built-in calculation rules by setting the task type field. Let's look at the Identify Physical Requirements task. Say your boss tells you the task has to be finished more quickly, so you decide to assign a second person to help you. You want the duration to shorten and the work to remain at 80 hours. One way to do that is to change the task type field to fixed work. In the task type drop-down list, just choose fixed work. Then you can add the office manager to the task. When you click OK, the duration drops to 5 days, and each person works 40 hours, for a total of 80 hours. The effort-driven checkbox is one more factor in how resource assignments change when you add or remove resources. Effort-driven scheduling means a task's total work stays the same as you add or remove resources to a task. And effort-driven scheduling is the norm because you often add resources to shorten a task by having several people work on it simultaneously. Meetings are one example of tasks that don't follow the effort-driven scheduling formula. Meetings don't get shorter when you add people to the attendee list. Instead, the total work for the task increases even if the duration stays the same. Look at the Present Selection to Management task. With the Relocation Manager as the only resource, the duration and the work are both 4 hours. To add attendees and increase the work, first turn off the effort-driven checkbox. Add the management folks and the office manager to the task. In each blank cell, choose a different manager. And then finally add the office manager to the task. When you click OK, you see that every person assigned to this task is assigned for 4 hours. However, the duration for the task is still 4 hours, but the total work adds up to 20 hours. Keeping costs down and using people's time effectively are 2 reasons to learn how to run an efficient meeting. The values you enter for duration, work, or units determines how Project calculates resource assignments. But the task type and effort-driven scheduling setting also affect resource assignment changes. By understanding how each of these features work, you can modify assignments and get the results you want.